moment again to be with you in this special announcement segment and broadcast. We have accepted that we are Nigerians and we do not have any other nation. Having been through lots of discussions with individuals and trying to make sure that I understand the state that the average man in Nigeria has found his or herself right now, it became worrisome for me because my people are suffering and they are experiencing different forms of hardship. I thought it wise to go to God in prayers and through lots of research work and study to seek advice from Him, who is an epitome of wisdom. And here is my advice to the system and the president of our dear nation. I want to acknowledge the fact that there is no leader that wants to see his people suffer. I want to acknowledge the fact and believe that there is no leadership that wants to see its people complaining in suffering in various forms of hardship. We have had high rates of crimes. We've had high rates of different kidnapping activities, emancipations of different kinds. Insecurity is on the rise. The prices of foodstuffs in the market has no limitations to its inflation periods. And it looks as if everything is on the rise. Well, these things were things that God told me at the beginning of the year. And I said it's going to be a very loom and strict period. Nigeria is a great nation. We all must accept this fact. Nigeria is blessed. We are not called the giant of Africa. It was not a gift that was given to us, but it was a name that we were able to get through hard work. And I also want to say that Nigerian citizens are very hardworking citizens and individuals, which has gone through thick and thin to make sure that we have the ability to adapt at every given moment, whether be it negative or positive. We have sought and still seeking adaptation. The rate of competition for the survival of the human race in Nigeria is on the high side. But this is my advice to the citizens and the president of our dear nation. Sir, I do not believe that you are void of wisdom, because our president is one person I have been able to follow his track record, and I've been able to discover that he's a man that believes so much in systems and structure. I've even gone forward to say that he believes in the Solomon system of reward. I am not here to praise or to condemn anyone, but this is my advice to the nation of Nigeria. The number one problem that we have today that we are facing is insecurity. The number two problem we are facing is a hike, inflation in the foodstuffs of the things that are in the market. The number three problem is access. There is no longer easy access in trade, either inter or intra states or regions here in Nigeria. And these things has contributed to the suffering and the hardship that we are experiencing. Economy does not fall all of a sudden, but accumulation of wrong decision and processes results to a fallen economy. And I want to say that Nigeria did not start experiencing this suffering in this dispensation. It has been on the rise. But I want you to remember that any nation that is ever going to rise must understand that it has three advantages. Number one advantage it has is the availability of land, availability of the air, the airspace, and availability of water. Now the land gives you your mineral resources and what have you through the processes of exploration. The air gives you the time space for easy transportation and then creation of network abilities and other advantages that the aviation gives you. And then the water grants access to survival of everything living. For without water, nothing can survive. Living thing. Now, if we are going to solve this problem, it's a collective responsibility. The issue of systems and structures of government is not only obligated to the government, though they have the high responsibility, but again, it also boils down to citizens having the understanding that they have a responsibility to our dear nation and country, Nigeria. I want you to remind us too that the greatest blessing that God has given the nation called Nigeria is population. For you cannot build a system of wealth. So people is the greatest gift. And Nigeria has one of the greatest population, not just in Africa, but also in the globe. And that alone tells you the amount of gifted minds, the amount of skills, technical abilities that has been embedded in this great nation. But our failure to understand the different dynamics of the individuals emanating from different regions in Nigeria has created a great loophole in our dear nation that has seen the nation crumble from one stage and one phase to another. But I want to start this by saying that the solution to our national problem that we are experiencing in the nation is, number one, the civil service sector. There has to be a system that is able to pick minds, great minds, which are the human resources, and engage them into trainings. Now, you cannot say that a system is working when there is no a track record, there is no checklist, there is no follow-up on these systems. We are just giving out initiatives and plans. Of course, I want to say this, that sharing the bags of rice, sharing monies to market people does not really solve the problem, because the problem of Nigeria is not money, but how to spend it. You must agree that if you go to these ministries from 8 o'clock that they resume work to about 4 p.m., you will see that literally there is nothing more, there is no activity. It's just, it's not just a routine. And routine is a killer of pioneerism. If you continue doing things the way you do it before and it's over the years, the economy of Nigeria is not going to get better. The nation of Nigeria is never going to be built. So what am I saying? Is that this ministry has the responsibility that they need to create research institutes in all the ministries. That's number one. You must get the ministries working. There must be a system of reward for each of the ministries. In fact, that needs to be created a healthy competition among the ministries, that any ministry that outdoes each other over the year, there's going to be a reward system, a program that is held, to congratulate and applaud them. So if you get the individuals in the ministry working, then you've gotten the ministry working. There has to be research works. There has to be projects, at least, to be done at every given moment. Every ministry should embark in project. In so doing, they are creating job opportunities, and then they are positioning the system to begin to work. Now, if we do not bring in the ministries to begin to work, automatically there's going to be a huge problem in the nation, because the problem starts in the ministry. Imagine the number of people that are, civil servants, either in federal level, in state level, or even in the local level. Imagine the number of civil servants that we will have today, that their minds are not working. They are just statutory, maybe signing documents, signing receipts, and then doing one errand or the other that does not directly implement or does not give a contribution to the growth of the nation. Imagine the millions of minds that are dormant, that are not active. How can a nation rise if that number, if that ratio, if that percentage of minds in the ministry parastatals are not engaging in the development of the nation? There is no platform where ideas are harnessed, where mindsets are trained. Can you be able to get all the ministers as the head of state, and we ask them today to give us a lecture on their ministries? You will find out that many of the ministers are not ministering in the ministries. What do I mean? That they do not have a thorough background knowledge of what their ministries is all about. And on the long run, you are going to see a displacement of priorities, because they do not know what to do, when to do, how to do it, and where to do it. But if we have these ministers, conducting lectures, conducting seminars, conducting conferences within their ministry, and educating the head of departments and other leaders in and within their ministries, you see that it's going to come up. But because there is no expectation, there is no project, there is no project that are almost impossible projects and hard to deliver projects, that nobody is hands-on in these ministries, and people just go to work because they are expected to go to office, then of course there is a problem. I need to say this. Until the public sectors begin to compete toe to toe with the private sectors on a platform of healthy competition, the nation Nigeria is not going to get better. The private sectors are not our problem. They are just there to help the nation of Nigeria. And if the public sectors can begin to, get into good competition, whatever the private sector can provide, the public sector can provide. Just imagine what our schools will look like, from the nursery schools down to the primary schools, down to the secondary schools, even to the universities, the higher institutions. If you go to majority of the schools today, they are dilapidated. The quality of the teachers, I don't have much to say in that area, but we know what it looks like. That's why you are seeing upsurge or special centers and a lot of means of making sure that people gain their certificates. What are the systems that have been set in place in our dear nation to make sure that the primary schools, the secondary schools, because these are the places where we are supposed to be harnessing the special gifts, special talents, and be able to identify the special techniques and skills for us to be able to manage them so that these people can become future leaders. But our schools today, they are nowhere to be found. Again, another area is that if the public sector is able to compete with the private sectors, then of course whatever is obtainable in the private sector is obtainable in the public sector. That can be a subsidization, a kind of a reduction in the prices of schools and ETCs through subsidies and other things that can come in to bring down the cost of education in our dear nation, so that it is affordable, it is achievable, and it is profitable to our nations. All right. Now, if that happens, what it then means is that not just in the schools, but also in the transportation scheme, in hospitals and other parastatals. When you look at other sectors of the economy, and there is a good and a healthy competition between the private sector and the public sector, then of course, can we go to the prisons today and have interviews with the inmates on how they are being treated, and they are giving you positive response? The answer is absolutely no. So if the public sector can begin to go hand in hand, go toe to toe in terms of delivery, in terms of services, in terms of the quality of the personnel that are going to meet with against the public sector, against the private sector, you'll begin to see that it's going to create a healthy competition and people are going to be engaged more. Because I can tell you that one of the greatest problems that our nation is having is that individuals has lost trust on the public sectors. Be it in the health, be it in the education sector, be it in the agricultural sector, be it in the finance sector. In whichever sector you choose to look at it, there is a loss of hope, and which is not good for our economy. Now, another initiative that we could implement to see things getting better, which already, I don't know, probably for political reasons or for any other reasons, our president has been able to initiate the autonomy of the local government sector, that the local government should be able to control their funds, which is very good. Now, I call that initiative Go Back to the Village initiative, where if people's their workplace is about maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes from their villages, they should go back to the village. They should go back to the village. If they go back to the village, you will also discover that there is going to be a decongestion in the city, and the communities will be engaged more. And have to work so hard. So what is the local government going to do for us is to create access. Now, for example, if a farmer goes to farm knowing that my products are going to be purchased and I do not have to have the stress of carrying them to the market, at the site of production there is a development, because we are in the internet world, and of course as a nation, as cities, as communities, we should take advantage of it. All I need to do is to take a picture of what my farmland location is through a GPS, and then I upload it. The moment I upload it, is there, and anybody who wants to buy can be able to identify my location and come to me. And these things can be taught to our mothers and even the youths who are going to return back to villages to work. And you are going to see that the moment the cities are depopulated, and then we'll have more individuals living in the village and having a comfortable life and living in the village. Of course, our market system is such that goes once in every week. So once in every week, a lot of the products are being brought to the market, and then even buyers can even have access to the villages and communities to get a lower price purchase through the farms. And then they do not need to go to the rigorousness. Our mothers and the youths do not need to go to the rigorousness of transportation. Now, that establishment interlinked with the state government of agriculture and all that, you begin to see that the products will begin to be available. Not just that, the federal government can also supply seeds and eat it, which they have done, I think, in some states, and regions. Supply seeds for the farmers to go and plant. Then there has to be a follow-up. Now, one of the major problems that we're having in Nigeria is not just development of initiatives. There has been a lot of initiative, Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, River Basin Authorities. These are initiatives, but they have been abandoned, they have been ostracized. We do not have a proper management system and implementation system. So we just implement, and there is no a system to make up management. And without management, you are going to run into losses. So if we have initiatives, to bring back the youths, I happen to have the opportunity to travel to some communities around my state, which is Abia State, and we were able to, because of the football tournaments that I'm part of a club that's that we produce footballers, and then we were able to go to these communities. You could see that because of the influx of almost every 2 months, there is a good competition going up in that community. The community is open, markets are going, even in the village, people are into restaurants, we call it in the local language the mama put. I saw mama puts in local patterns, and they were able to make money and then take care of their children because of the constant competitions that are going on there. You could see people selling football boots, football jerseys, footballs, and etc. In the village. And the market system is actually movable, and you are seeing interlinks between stocks, sports and agriculture interlinking in each other, and then you find the city movies. You find good stadiums, many stadiums in those villages, and then you see that the competition is ongoing, and then the interlinks creates healthiness among the youths. The youths are not just bored, so when they come back from the farms in the evening, they go for trainings because they are also seeing opportunities. So if we can develop each, of course, sports is an integral part of the system of development. Nigeria is so much vastly blessed with different regions, representing different cultures, diversifications, and talent. You cannot say you are building a nation, Nigeria, and it will work. You have to start considering, the regions. You have to check the interplays between the east, the north, the west, and the north and the south, of course. And then you are able to check what the regions represent, interplays on the map of Nigeria, and you find the point of intersection between the three. Develop these things through regionals, and then you're going to see a better Nigeria within the next 1 year or 2 years. Now, another thing is that the government departments needs to, the head of departments in the government needs to hold seminars, they need to hold conferences, go down to villages. When people see commissioners of states, they are coming down to local governments, in different local governments, and they are holding different initiatives, teaching the people these things, and then they have workers that are to stay in the villages for maybe a week or two, just like we send the coppers to the NYC system into different villages and localities, and they are helping to educate the students. You have, different ministries sending people to communities to help them to stabilize the systems, and then there is a monitoring team that ensures that the implementation procedures are carried out. Then another problem that we are having is the problem of security. Now, we are allocating much to security and allocating less to economy, but the problem of the security is the economy. If we are able to look at the development of the economy above the development of the securities, then over time there will not be need for much security. In fact, our senators, House of Representative members, governors, and even the president will use less convoys on the road because the economy is booming. There is more or less interest in security. Why there is a high interest in security in Nigeria today is because of the situation of the economy. If we boost up the economy and the economy rises through the systems that have been pinpointed, of course, then there will be a less interest on security because people will have money, people will have food on their tables, and then transportation systems are there. Upgrading resources will of course remove the issues of security, but the problem is that if we do not have systems and structures to be able to upgrade the human resources in our dear nation, then there's going to be a problem on the long run. So if we are able to initiate systems to be able to upgrade the human resources, the initiatives that will upgrade human resources in our dear nation, then the issue of will no longer be felt, and then we'll have a better representation in our economy. And these things can be done sectors by sectors. Again, is that there needs to be a change in the academic curriculum. If you look at our academic curriculums today, is what we have been using over 20, 30, 40 years, which is wrong. There is an involvement, there is a shift. There is a shift, and the moment this shift happens, there was also a shift in the needs of people. And we are still using the same academic curriculum, which is not geared toward development of skills, techniques, and giftedness, and pinpointing, the bright minds. We don't have an initiative that we can be able to train our young ones to understand the responsibilities they have and what it means to be pioneers. There is no system, so we need to alter our academic curriculum to a greater and high standard so that we can be able to shift not just from theoretical aspect, but to give practicals a time factor, and then also harnessing the bright minds and giving them projects to be able to handle. We can just say, okay, we'll go to schools and you get the bright minds in the schools and then send them towards a region and give them and undertake research work to understudy the region and find out what works. And then when they find those things out, they should be able to present an implementational procedures to be able to follow it up and make sure that things are working in that region. When they present that, they should be empowered to carry it out. And then our bright minds that are coming out from the universities, they have a task that is going to keep them going, and through those forms we are able to develop a lot of things. So when we change our academic curriculum and implement systems to dictate creative skills, we are able to build the system to have a better standard. All right, so again, we have already been blessed by land, water, and air. Nigeria have vast water on the land, and then we have vast lands. Now, if we can be able to create tourists and trade centers using our lands, creating import and export, derivatives using our water, and then maximizing the use of the internet, or creating an e-commerce, e-government, and initiating, taking a great advantage of aviation, we'll be able to fly. I will come back to break these segments down. Then we also need to move and gear. If we do not choose the future, we are choosing the past. So if we do not choose the future, we are choosing the past. Not choosing the future means we are choosing the past. And choosing the past means we are going to be behind. And once we are behind, we are going to suffer. Now, we need to establish a returnee to town hall meetings. The town hall meetings are very, very important. We are the local government chairman who needs to move down, to the town halls and have town halls meetings with communities, know the challenges firsthand of these communities and know how to help them. Not just send them people. The chairman needs to go for community. At least establish a particular day and a particular hour or duration of time where the chairman of local governments needs to go to these town halls meetings and have town hall meetings with people in the communities, and then discover the problems of the youth, discover the problems of the community, and from that give these tasks to these creative minds that they have been able to set up to go and look for ways to rectify these problems, create implementational procedures, empower them to be able to enforce these things. So town hall meetings is a very integral part. Our forefathers were able to use it when a day is instigated in the village. Nobody goes out. They come out in the town hall meetings, and the village is being discussed. Challenges of the village is being talked about. How to share the communal lands and etc. are being discussed. So we cannot throw away the importance of the town hall. If we generate these factors from the local level and then we bring it up to the state level and then it gets to the federal level, you begin to see that the economy will begin to get better because the problems of the people will begin to be solved, and then the people will have more voice. Engaging the people in the government, engaging the people in the leadership, engaging the people in the running of those systems and the structures of the economy and the nation at large will make things much more better. And I want to say that political rallies do not need to end because politics has ended. What do I mean by the political rallies? We saw our aged president, though he is aged, but you saw his tenacity, you saw his doggedness in making sure that he covers majority of the states during the political campaigns, and he was able to visit states by state and make promises and statements. Those political rallies do not need to end. Those visitations do not need to end. If we are able to continue these visitations, and then he's able also, not just for himself, but the vice president and the ministers are also toiling down those states, and this political rallies continues from states to states, from communities to communities, from regions to regions. We are going to be able to initiate and generate a lot of solutions to problems that we are facing, and before you could know it, quarters and segments will be developed, and then we can be able to say, okay, we are attacking this segment, this period, we are attacking this thing. Or even simultaneously, when we have good hands and we have the teams, execution teams to go from village to village, from cities to cities, from communities to communities, we can be able to do things, a lot of things at the same time, because we have the best gift, which is the human resources. So political rallies do not need to end. Two major Nigerian problems is implementation and also the management system. So if we're able to generate a good management and implementation systems that is e-centered, if, let me say, I'm going to get my you want to get your NIN, you get to the NIN, the department that is responsible for it, and you know that in the next 15 minutes you're out of there, things become easy. But the public sectors, one of the key thing that the public sector, if they can be able to implement it, they will be able to compete with the private sector, is the issue of time management and customer satisfaction. So, quotas. If they can be able to give you time, because one of the strengths of the private sector is the management of time. People know that when they get to the private sector, before you know it, they're out, their problems are solved. If we can be able to instigate the timeline that people are to spend, no matter the rigorousness that is needed, you can go from step 1 to step 50 in a space of 10 to 15 minutes, and you are out of that place. You will see that people will begin to build trust in the private sector, because the issue of time management is a very big concern. People will get to ministries and nobody's on the table. You get to ministries, the process is file upon file upon file, whereas with the systems you can be able to punch one or two and then you get the problem solved. The people get what they want. How about that? And people's problems. Okay, imagine you are getting a land, you need to go to the land, and the land department and the Ministry of Lands, and it's going to take you 4 or 5 days to generate a process to get a document. Whereas these are things that if it can be done within 1 hour, within 2 hours, it also helps the people in the real estate and the development of lands to be able to move faster and better. it's also to acknowledge that the implementation systems are very, very poor. Now, I want to say this: ignoring shortfalls in management is the quickest way for underdevelopment to continue unchecked. I want to say it again: ignoring shortfalls in management is the quickest way for underdevelopment to continue. So when we don't see it, and when we are not able to set performance-based structures, our economy is going to continue to suffer. Sports is an untapped area in Nigeria. Imagine if our leagues are upgraded, and we have leagues for the under 10s, league for the under 13s, league for the under 15s, and these things are seen and watched on the televisions. Our local televisions can be able to carry these competitions, and we see the best of the best being developed. We don't need to the recruitment of under 15, under 16s will be very easy. We saw a very high level of low performance in our last outing in the Olympics, and it was not a favorable one. But the reason is because we do not start on time. We do not have a structural procedure to generate people from the grassroots, and then they come to the international level, and then of course meet up to the international standards. We do not have a system of passing the baton, because our sports movement is supposed to be a relay. When we see the first line, the second line, and the third line, and it is clearly seen that this is the stage where we are. I would come back to talk about this sports area because of our time. Now, another area is to be able to define and initiate central systems. Now, when we go to the communities, we have a central system. Each community in Nigeria should have a central system where we can monitor, the development procedures, implementational procedures, have a checklist and a proper follow-up. And these are systems that can give us reports of what is going on. Now, distributing wealth to a large number of people helps us to just not sharing bags of rice or sharing money, but distributing wealth. This wealth could come in form of ideas. It comes in form of strategies, helping. For example, if you go on the street, if you can be able to help the vulcanizer, if you can help to the road sellers to be able to communicate and know that their projects and their products can be produced and marketed globally, it's going to give them a sense of belonging, and they know that it is no local products, that they are just solving problems locally. But these are also important. So we need to have organizations, and then to improve the standard of these things by disseminating of wealth to a large number of people, that they can be able to create apps, that they can be able to have easy of advertising what they do, how they do it, and where they can be found. And this easy access will help us to be able to prioritize them better. And then you can find, if you go to villages and communities, you can find the people getting into the lowest tier of business, the vulcanizers and etc. Those forms of menial works that doesn't mean much. You can find them in village, you can find them in remote areas, because businesses have been taken down to those areas. So if we can be able to carry businesses from not just from the cities, but to carry them to the communities, and then we are able to stretch the labor force down to the communities, we begin to find out that there will be exchange of money and all that in those communities. The businesses will move down. People will go down to villages. They have their father's houses, and then automatically you see the housing need to drop, and then we'll have a circulation of business better. And then we can be able to also to build our nation through regions and regions and regions. And then we have initiatives to develop leadership skills and make sure that people get into all forms of leadership trainings in all segments and in the ministries. And then we are able to have a better community, make our city and great communication centers. Now, lastly, because of our time, I want to talk about the need for government to communicate to its citizens. We need to know about their initiative, their implementation procedures, and what they tend to achieve, and then give us our responsibilities as citizens, or what they want, either the religious or the secular world, to be part of this project, and then impact people, and then we are able to develop youths. Before you know it, the corruption level and all that will begin to drop, and then we'll begin to gear our heads towards development. People know that we are going to suffer for a while, but the problem is, how long is the suffering going to last? And when those things are done, we'll be proud of our great nation. I want to plead that the government should have better communication centers, and also have means that the citizens can be able to communicate. The president should actually be able to have group or a ministry or even a team that has the ability to get information from the 36 states on daily basis. And those hotlines should be on. People are responding to them. He can be able to know firsthand what is happening and then be able to accumulate all this information and details, and then he's able to know where he's to channel his energy, and then we will help him lead us well. If we can be able to implement all these procedures, which I will still come back to elaborate as the time permits, we will begin to see that we will have a better nation. I can tell us that our problem is that we're not making use of the minds that God has blessed the nation of Nigeria with, and we've not been able to take advantage of the people and the resources of our great nation. If we can be able to do that, then the sky will be our starting point. We need projects, we need tasks, we need to give people assignments. Our youths, great minds, communities, give them, the youths in the communities, projects that they can, get focused, and at the end of the day, they are making financial, success from those programs. Initiatives are being developed, and before you know it, the age and lifespan of the people will be developed, and we'll have a great nation on our hands once more. Until we see you next time, I love you so much. I believe so much in this nation, and I know that one day all these things will come to pass. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you.